What's going on, everybody? I come to you from sweltering Michigan to talk about who is quarterback U. College Football King, shout out to them for a tremendous post. It created a lot of debate on who is QBU and a bunch of other positions they posted as well. I may or may not go over those other positions, but I definitely want to cover who is QBU of the playoff era. So obviously from 2014 to now 2023, the season that was just concluded. The thing that makes this an interesting discussion and debate is obviously the transfer portal. There used to be obviously a transfer punishment, a 1 year sitting for transferring. Now the portal, since 2021, it's free for all. It's anybody can go anywhere, and obviously kids were still transferring before the portal was free for all. Obviously you got Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and the like. Who gets to claim them? Both schools, in my opinion. But, obviously Alabama, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma want to claim those players. So it's an interesting debate, So 4 schools really stand out here in this playoff era. So from 2014 to 2023. And those schools, I feel like are pretty obvious. You've got, of course, Alabama. You've got Oklahoma. You got Clemson and Ohio State. Now, each of those schools have had success to varying degrees. Each of them have had kind of misses in this college football playoff era, in the young era that it is. But they've all had elite and immense talent at the quarterback position. So let's dive into that here in just a second. I'll start off with Oklahoma. Of course, they've benefited greatly from the transfer portal. And of course, Lincoln Riley, the offensive guru that he is, can't figure out those defenses, but offensive and quarterback guru that he is, he had Baker Mayfield from Texas Tech at Oklahoma, won the Heisman. Kyler Murray won the Heisman. Of course, he had Jalen Hurts. He recruited him once Tua took over in Alabama. And of course, Spencer Rattler, he was kind of a miss. He was their miss, but he ended up doing decently well at South Carolina in the SEC, of course. And then Dylan Gabriel. He was a stat machine, of course, this past season. So, the past 2 years for Oklahoma, despite Riley being in LA and being a Trojan. So they certainly have a case, couple Heismans in there, a couple transfers in there, and just one weak link and missing link in Spencer Rattler. Another team that has obviously been at the forefront of the college football playoff era is the Clemson Tigers. Now, they've certainly fallen off the past couple of years. I'm definitely going to get to that. But they started the college football player era with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. And then that led to Kelly Bryant for a season and a half. And then, of course, Trevor Lawrence took over. Then they kind of slid off the bat a little bit. Obviously you had Uiagalelei, didn't perform to the levels that Clemson quarterbacks are used to. And, of course, Cade Klubnik has not lived up to the hype as well as a highly touted recruit. And another guy I want to throw in now is before the college football playoff era, but the guy who really got it started and proved that quarterbacks can be really successful at Clemson was the dude Taj Boyd. A lot of people forget him. He's overlooked because of the successes of Watson and Lawrence. But he was an absolute monster for Clemson, and he really got the ball rolling for Dabo and crew down in Clemson, South Carolina. The third team I want to talk about today is, of course, the Alabama Crimson Tide, the most dominant team in the college football playoff era. Obviously winning 6 national championships under Nick Saban, obviously now retired, of course. They started off with somewhat of a weaker QB in the college football national landscape's mind, anyway. Blake Sims, of course, Ohio State beat them, knocked them out of the playoffs in that monumental upset. Jake Coker, he's somewhat a game manager, but he had some amazing throws and obviously led them to the national title. Jalen Hurts was phenomenal until he got replaced by Tua, and what a teammate, the consummate teammate he is. Of course, we discussed him with Oklahoma as well. Tua took over. He was phenomenal. Absolutely beast mode. Led them his freshman year to the national championship, coming in at halftime to replace Jalen Hurts, who was ineffective in that game. But boy, did Hurts turn it on later on in his career. And then, of course, Mac Jones, he won a national title against Ohio State, reversing the trend for the Tide against Ohio State. And then, of course, Bryce Young, the Heisman winner. And then this last year, Jalen Milroe, the quarterback who played very poorly against Texas, but then improved throughout the season. Of course, beat Georgia and was somewhat ineffective in the semifinal game versus Michigan. We'll see if he takes that leap in year 2. A lot of people are really looking forward to see what he's going to bring to the table, if he's going to take that step or not. And then, of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes, last but not least, started off with JT, then he got injured. Of course, everybody remembers the Cardale Jones 3-game run, then the huge debate in the offseason of who's going to start the game at Virginia Tech and throughout the 2015 season. JT Barrett eventually won that competition over, although Cardale came out first in that Virginia Tech game. Took a couple games, and JT reestablished himself as the starter after the broken leg versus Michigan in 2014. Obviously, Dwayne Haskins was the stat monger, 50 touchdowns in his season in 2018. Rest in peace to him, of course, Dwayne. Justin Fields, CJ Stroud, and then Kyle McCord kind of being the weak link, although he was still kind of average. You know, he wasn't below average, but he was below average to these standards from that run. He was definitely below what standards of what Ohio State fans are used to looking at and used to seeing. Most of these guys were Heisman finalists for the Buckeyes, as well as most of these guys on the list in general have been. And so you have to include Ohio State on this list for who's QBU stat-wise. They're going crazy under Ryan Day, and it's just kind of interesting to compare these lists. So finally getting into my answer, who do I think is QBU during the college football playoff era, this 10-year run that we've been in so far? I am not going to be biased and say the Buckeyes are QBU. They're not. They put up some fabulous stats, tremendous statistics, lots of championships. Unfortunately, just one national title. So I'm knocking Ohio State off the list. Clemson, they've really fallen off under Uyunglele and Cade Klubnik. Obviously, it's just I can't put them because they have ended the last 3-4 years so poorly at the quarterback position. So it's between Alabama and Oklahoma in my mind. And yes, Alabama has produced more national championships with their quarterbacks than Oklahoma has. Obviously, Oklahoma has not won a college football playoff game at all in the playoff era. But in terms of Heisman and production, and in terms of statistics, I give the slight edge and the slight nod to Oklahoma. Now, obviously, I'm going to probably get torn up in the comment section. But, I want you guys to debate this because, a lot of people value statistics. A lot of people value championships. A lot of people value wins. A lot of people value whatever they place, leadership, whatever they place of the utmost importance, that kind of affects their decision. So what do you guys think down below? I chose Oklahoma with, slight win over the Alabama Crimson Tide. But there's definitely a case to be made for any one of these programs. Who is it? Oklahoma, Alabama, Clemson, or Ohio State? What do you guys think? Who is QBU of the playoff era? Let me know down below in the comments. Debate it, but be friendly. Go Bucks and God bless. We'll see you next time.